We all know who the superstar singers are. Their songs are played over and over again, and you hear them everywhere you go. But then there are the songs you only hear if you're lucky. Lucky enough to stumble upon an artist who is still being discovered, an artist driven by pure passion for the words and notes. Sit back and relax, because today you are lucky. If you don't already know him, you're going to discover singer-songwriter Frank Sugrue. Frank's music comes from deep inside with pristine perspective on life, along with the perfect notes, and it all comes together in his new and second CD called Edge. I'm thrilled to have him here on the show, the very talented Frank Sugrue. Thank you.
Thank you, Audrey. That's quite an intro.
Well, you deserve it. I mean, when I listen to your lyrics and I listen to your music, I can't believe, you know, that it all comes from right there in that brain, that there, and it reflects so much about you as an individual and how perceptive you are and just all the things going on in your mind. And I find that very, very interesting and something that I think more people should be able to share. And for an artist, an independent artist, who's really just driven by passion, not everyone gets to hear about you and know about your music. So hopefully that'll change today. Yeah. And maybe people will also be just a little intrigued to hear about what it is that actually drives you, you know, to write songs and put out your music for everyone else to enjoy, and how you got started. What was it for you? What was the precipitous for really taking your music seriously?
Well, I've been writing songs a very long time, since I was probably in high school, and but they were, you know, light and fluffy and pop songs. And when I caught the folk bug when I went to college and traded in my electric guitar and my keyboard for an acoustic guitar, then songwriting sort of, you know, back in the day had a certain serious tone to it, and you had to have, you know, measured and meaningful lyrics and balance in your songs, and a good strong balance between verse and chorus and all those things, because people were paying attention. There wasn't a lot of noise other than pretty simple guitar playing to take the focus away. So that just developed into a habit for me and a lot of other people who kind of followed the folk vein back in the day. So that's kind of what my roots are in terms of you know, learning how to write, learning who to imitate, how to play, what to talk about, what to write songs about. But it's been a long journey. Well, some of the songs that I'm glad I've forgotten that I wrote back then, a little bit.
Do you cringe sometimes to hear?
Very cringeworthy,
yeah.
You know, a little too self-involved, things like that. So you learn to finesse that over time, and so that's to some extent I've always taken it seriously, because it seemed like an important thing to do.
Well, you said that, you know, when you're learning and when you're first starting out, you're thinking about who you want to copy, who you want to imitate. Who were some of those people for you?
Well, back in the day, I would say, you know, the classic folk singers like Paul Simon in particular, a little bit of Bob Dylan, Ralph McTell, you know, there's a whole slew of them, and Janis Ian, and the people that really were, you know, honing a craft really deliberately and well. That changed over time. I kind of grown away from folk as a genre that interests me now, but you can't get away from the fact that the underpinnings of a lot of this really come down to somebody sitting down and probably torturing themselves writing a really excellent song, the trick being to make it look easy when they're done.
Right. Well, you do make it look easy, and you make it look like you've actually lived most of what you're playing about. Is that true?
Some of the earlier stuff I write is kind of autobiographical. I've tried to get into third-person writing, which is a very difficult thing. The people I admire now tend to be very good at that. People like Mark Knopfler and Randy Newman and Mark Cohn, they can write from the perspective of another person, just take on another character. and sing the song from that perspective. That I've only been able to do that once. I have one song on my CD that I think succeeds at that. So those are like the new challenges, to not necessarily be autobiographical, but be either the third person or a narrator looking on at a scene, or those
Do you
kinds
try
of,
specifically to write songs that people can identify with? Do you just write whatever you're passionate about at the time? I mean, how do you choose?
I don't choose. The beginning of probably every song I've ever written started with a little musical, lyrical combination that just jumped out at me when I was playing. I have a fairly rigid routine about playing, every day at a certain time, and just every once in a while you get lucky and a little pairing of music and lyrics occur to you, and then you try to broaden that into something that is meaningful, or maybe not meaningful in a message way, but resonates with people, either because the story you're telling is a common one, or there's a twist on an idea, or some irony there, or whatever it is. But you're trying to get people's attention. But I've never been able to sit down and say, I really should write a song about,
It's something, right?
whatever.
It comes to you, and it just
Mary
something
Kay
triggers.
products, and it's never. I mean, I have thought of doing that, but it never goes anywhere because I don't know how to do that. But
Well, it's also very interesting, though, how your words come together, because obviously you need a certain format for a song. So at a certain point in time, you sit there and the words aren't just words. You're actually putting them into a format. You're actually making them flow intentionally.
right.
And how long does it usually take you to take a song from beginning
I am
to end?
embarrassed to tell you. Some of the songs, particularly the ones that I am the most fond of on the record, were in the order of 3 months from the time
Why is that
little
embarrassing?
germ. Well, because it's painful. It's a very painful process, and a lot of erasing and rewriting and throwing the whole thing away and starting over. And it's just because of how tricky it is to get. Of course, the music and the lyrics have to match up, but just the timing of each syllable has to be just right, and then it has to rhyme, and then it has to fall within, a sort of a structure that people can accept, which is usually a few verses, a chorus, a bridge, and otherwise people are going to go, what is this? So you got some, quite a bit of structure that you have to do it, and yet you want it to be sort of free form, and you want to engender your idea, or put forth an emotion, or whatever it is you're trying to accomplish. So that's a lot to do, and so for me, I have to do that very slowly. Although when I started songwriting, it would, like, as I keep saying, fall from the sky, and those were the days.
Those were the days.
Those were the days when you could just. I've had a couple of my older songs that I wrote in a half an hour, but that hasn't happened in a really long time.
So do you write the lyrics and then put it to the music, or do you do it all simultaneously?
Pretty much simultaneously. Generally, I have more music developed at any given time in the song. I have more music that's in place or pretty well pinned down, and the words are the thing that I'm keeping to know this.
See, I find it very fascinating because I have absolutely no skill in that area, so I'm in
Yeah.
awe when I think about what it takes to pull it all together. So when you say 3 months, to me, I'm thinking, wow, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
But then you're saying you could have, and you have written songs in the past in a half hour or in a day. But
But when you think about the fact that it's, your final product is 4 minutes, let's say, and that it took you 3 months to come up with a 4-minute song, it's sort of like, why do I do this again? There are times when it's not.
well, why do you do it?
I don't know. That's a good question. It sounds a little hackneyed, but I do it because it has to be done. A lot of songwriters will come upon this idea that when you create a song, you haven't invented it, you've discovered it, and so it's as if the song was already written. You have to go find it. And it feels that way a lot, and I've seen a lot of things written by well-known songwriters who kind of profess the same thing. And sometimes their ability to create and put it all together is just as much a mystery to them as to anyone else. And I can sort of relate to that. I think Arlo Guthrie said something like, songwriting is like throwing your fishing line into the river and waiting for something to happen, which I can definitely resonate. He also said that anyone standing downstream of Bob Dylan hasn't caught much of anything. I don't know if I agree with that.
Well, obviously.
It's a great line.
It's a great line, but I think a lot of people, the fans would agree.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So let's talk about your latest and your new CD and why you named it Edge and what it represents.
Well, the whole time I was recording, which was 2+ years, my intent was to call it Man on Third. And I just like the phrase. I have the, I grabbed the website, the domain name, and it was a sort of a pun on, a stage in life, being on third base. And
in what way? What did it mean to you? Almost home? Or?
Well, almost home in that, and you can see home from here, kind of whatever it is. But I liked it as kind of a cute metaphor, and I was going to always call it Man on Third. But then when it came time to do production and the artwork and the photos and all that, and I had my songs complete and finalized, I couldn't really tie Man on Third into anything, so it seemed, disconnected from the music. And it doesn't even particularly go with one of the songs. So I started to change my mind. And I kind of quickly realized that the easiest way to just tie it all together is call it Edge, which is the first word of the first song. And the other reason I call it Edge is because I feel like I'm always sort of pushing back the acoustic folk pigeonhole, maybe, and I hope that my version of acoustic music is a little edgy. So there's that word again. So. Well,
okay, so we're going to hear you play a little bit and the title track from your new CD, but before that, let's just take that one point a little bit further. You said you don't want to be pigeonholed into folk. You're breaking out with a more acoustic sound. What is that all about?
Well, there are people. Okay, so in acoustic music has generally been attributed to folk. It's the most common way that acoustic guitars are played, and by that I mean a certain kind of a fingerpick style, often a strum style. Not very many chords, 3-4 chords, most songs. Big emphasis on the lyrics. Often a lot of verses. Sometimes they have a sing-along kind of element to them. I'm not doing any of that. So I really appreciate people who take, it doesn't have to be an acoustic guitar, but I really appreciate people who can pick up an acoustic guitar and turn it into a little bit of a percussive instrument, make it sound a little bit like a bass guitar, mix it up, and put some energy into it. Like Ani DeFranco, for example, is like a really out there. I don't love everything she does, but she can do some amazing things just with the same 6 strings and hollow box that the rest of us have. And that's what really kind of gets me going when I get excited about hearing acoustic music. It's all the people who are taking it to the next level that I find interesting. So that's what I'm trying to do in this small, wherever I go to play once in a while. That's the kind of hat I'm trying to wear.
Okay. And so does Edge, is that your breakout kind of?
Yeah, I think so.
It is?
I think so. Well, it's very, hopefully people will hear it, and I think everyone would agree, as an acoustic singer-songwriter's record goes, it's right out there. It's very highly produced. There's a lot of instruments. There's some great electric guitar work. Almost every cut has bass and drums and lap steel and woodwinds, and there's a lot going on. So I'm very proud of that, and it all came together, and it sounds like a real production. There's a lot to listen to, and when you hear a song for the second, third, and fourth time, you can hear things that you didn't hear the first time, and that's very gratifying.
It is, I'm sure. And I'm sure you're proud of having this new CD out.
Right.
And those of you who want to get a look at it, go to franksugrue.com. You'll see it right there, and also iTunes. And you have another site that you work
Nimbit Music.
nimbitmusic.com, but then you have to put Frank Sugrue into the search, and it comes right up. You can sample some of the tunes as well, but lucky for us, Frank's going to play the title track, Edge of the End, right now.
I am?
So
Okay.
you'll get to hear
Transition.
it before you even go and search for it online.
This is sort of the title cut from my new CD, Edge. It's called Edge of the End, and it's about the irony of my life in bringing two separate and very widely spaced events apart in my life. One is being raised as in the late 50s and early 60s. I was right there as a Cold War kid. I was 11 during the Cuban Missile Crisis. And back then, it's hard to believe now, everyone was pretty much on the same page, gathered around together in our complete hatred of all things Soviet Union. And we were of one mind. And then how ironic that many years later I would go to Russia to adopt 2 Russian kids. So that kind of irony you just can't walk away from when you write songs. You have to come up with something. So here's my version called Edge of the End. Khrushchev's at the UN, he's banging his shoe. Face is red as a flag, we will bury you. Back in the day we hated each other's guts. The righteous Americans, evil Soviets. There's a picture of me with my Uncle Ed. I got a sweatshirt and on the front it said Moscow University. Hey, pretty funny stuff back then, when you were living on the edge of the end. When you're living on the edge. You may remember the phrase, 'cause it was all the rage. I'd rather be dead than red. Well, that October when we nearly had to choose, missiles on the doorstep, game or win or lose. Teacher said on Thursday there'll be a test in math. Kid yelled from the back and everybody laughed. What if there is no Thursday? Hey, pretty funny stuff back when you're living on the edge of the end. One day the whole world changed. Broken countries got new names. Everything we thought we feared disappeared. When the Iron Curtain fell, we lost something else as well. Not just our enemy, but our identity. Settled in the back seat, we're in for a ride. Watching the Russian countryside. Little great towns we're passing through. Look at the squares, they still got the tanks and the statues. We're on a mission to the Detsky Dome. Arms around these children, gonna take them home. Nobody should be this way. It's never funny when you're living on the edge of the end. When you're living on the edge. It's never funny when you're living on the edge of the edge. Okay, this tune is the most recent song I've written from the CD, Edge. It's called Counting My Blessings. Should have seen the moon late last night, falling through the skylight. What a treasure to behold, station filling up with gold. I watch it from my makeshift bed, shadows dancing round my head, taking in the mystery. This light shows all for me, 'cause this is where I spend my nights. Not so bad, it's warm and dry.
though I live out in the open. Before you go and pity me, it's a life that set me free. My fortune's faded but not broken. Look at them down their frozen faces, reading their morning papers. It's a study in black and white, all bathed in Monday's light. That used to be me down there, half living and unaware, just a slave to my routine, living someone else's dream. Well, here comes the rough and tumble, platform begins to rumble. It's the 7:34. You think the world was about to end, the way they walk like the condemned, and the train opens up its doors. Turn the light down low, let the last train go. I'll ride the rails of my dreams till dawn. I'm a sight unseen, nestled in the mezzanine, counting my blessings till they're all but gone. This life has changed the way I see the movie that's in front of me. I can find the love inside the light. A farewell sun in the west window shines on those with a place to go, and I wish them all a sweet good night. Turn the light down low, let the last train go. I'll ride the rails of my dreams till dawn. I'm a sight unseen, holed up in the mezzanine, counting my blessings till they're all but gone. Counting my blessings till they're all but gone.
Bravo, bravo, bravo.
Well,
I
thank
mean,
you.
that was fantastic. And if you listen as, you know, just someone who's enjoying the music to the lyrics, you can definitely, in Edge of the End, hear the irony that you talked about in terms of growing up during the Cold War and then adopting the kids from Russia. What a fabulous, fabulous song. Both of them were really great songs, and
Thanks,
they sound
Audrey.
wonderful even when you sing them alone, just playing the guitar. But on the CD, that's not how it sounds. On the CD, you've got a whole band
lot
with
of
you.
help.
Oh, tell me how that happened. What was involved in making the CD and the musicians that were involved, the recording, etc.
Well, when I decided to start, the first thing I did was to try to figure out where should I record this thing, and there's many choices, from home studios to very fancy studios up on the hill in Vermont and whatever you want. So I started asking around musicians that I'd respected and had done some recording, and the one name that kept coming up is Eric Kilburn, who owns Wellspring Sound in Acton. And it's a very unassuming place. It's a metal building with a little door, and you're really, and I went there and talked to Eric, and I'm really glad I made the decision to do the recording there, because not only is it a wonderful studio, Eric is a very knowledgeable guy. He knows everyone. He owns every instrument known to man. You couldn't ask for a better partner in that. We really co-produced it, and he of course engineered it. So he was the kind of conduit by which I got in touch with some just great musicians, including Laurie Diamond and Kevin Barry, who's an excellent guitar player who's toured with Ray LaMontagne and many others. A great bass player and drummer that we brought in from, I think, Cambridge. Billy Novick plays woodwind, sax, and clarinet on 4 songs, I think. Added a lot to it. And what's great about hiring pros is you send them the MP3s in advance, they do their homework, they come fully prepared, and they really end up writing the parts. In some cases, they come with a couple of different suggestions. What about this? What about that? And so in a very short amount of time, you have this whole, canvas of stuff to pick from
that is just amazing. In other words, they're just listening to what you send them, and from that, they're kind of filling it in the way they think it works.
Yeah, you send them the charts with the chords and the lyrics, but basically, most of them are doing it by ear. But they come in with, in the case of Lori Diamond, for example, she not only, of course, came in with the harmonies, the nuances of where I emphasize syllables. It was all, she rehearsed it to the point where it sounds like we've been singing together on the thing, and that was true, all along the way. So that was by far the most gratifying part of making the record the way I did. I'm glad I hired professionals. I'm glad I supported local musicians. I'm glad I recorded and acted. There's a lot of good decisions that came out right. So it all started with Eric.
Well, that's great, and you're also now involved with getting it out there to people, and you're using another local company to help you with that.
And Nimbit.
Is that Nimbit?
Yeah, Nimbit is a Framingham company that I think now their reach is very much not local, and they've been bought by somebody who's national at least. But they're a Framingham company over on Mellon Street, and they did both the physical production of the CDs, and they provide the storefront both on their site and franksugrue.com. That you basically pay them a little money, you have an arrangement on the split, and within with very little work at all, you've got a storefront, you've got iTunes. You got multiple ways to market and sell the thing. It's pretty cool the way it works now.
And that's why you can find them. You can find your CD and your music at nimbitmusic.com. So you've got 3 places to go then. Nimbit.
Yep. nimbitmusic.com/Frank Sugrue, or you can just search for my name. You can go to franksugrue.com, and of course I'm going to make it very easy for you to listen and buy, and then iTunes also has
okay,
it, so.
and it's Frank Sugrue, S-U-G-R-U-E.
Yeah.
I hope everybody goes and listens. There's so many more incredible songs to hear. Don't miss out. Make sure you really take in the whole CD. Edge, Frank Sugrue. And thank you so much for
Thank you, Audrey.
being here.
Great.